So you know about Neil Diamond, another good Jewish boy. He just popped into my mind. Song Blue, everybody knows one. I have been guided to speak about, if I can, grief, loss, and loneliness. Grief, loss, and loneliness. So where best to begin? And of course, with the Word. This is the 11th chapter of John's Gospel. And what we'll hear today is the resurrection of Lazarus. Now, not alone did Jesus raise Lazarus from the dead, but he also raised the widow's son at Nain from the dead. And your body will be risen and reassembled on the last day. Your soul will be, your soul will be with Christ in heaven, but we believe in the resurrection of the body. And it'll be a glorified body. Like when you put a seed in the ground, it decomposes, it rots and dies. But what comes out of the ground is something alive. Like an orange pip becomes an orange tree. So, the Lazarus story, chapter 11. There was a man named Lazarus who lived in the village of Bethany with the two sisters, Mary and Martha, and he was ill. Okay, now if you're able to, you might be ill yourself, actually. And there may be people you know who day after day are confined to beds because they're ill, and terminally so. So Lazarus is ill. It was the same Mary, the sister of the sick man Lazarus, who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair. Now, this is not Mary Magdalene, even though people are inclined to think that it is. This is Mary of Bethany. The other one was Mary of Magdala. So Mary, the sister of the sick man Lazarus, who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair. The sister sent this message to Jesus: Lord, the man you love is ill. Now, I don't know how far away he was, but whoever brought the message to Jesus would have probably done so on foot. So did it take days? I don't know. Lord, the man you love is ill. So Jesus loved Lazarus as he loves you. On receiving the message, Jesus said, this sickness will end not in death, but in God's glory. And through it, the Son of Man will be glorified. Okay. Something's going to happen that will give glory to God. And by the raising of Lazarus, more and more people will come to understand who Jesus is and who the Father is. Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Yet when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed where he was for 2 more days before saying to the disciples, let us go to Judea. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, it is not long since the Jews wanted to kill you, wanted to stone you. Are you going back there again? Jesus replied, are there not 12 hours in the day? A man can walk in the daylight without stumbling, because he is the light of this world to see by. But if he walks at night, he stumbles, because there is no light to guide him. Now, I'm not sure what Jesus is trying to tell them at this moment. Walk by day, but he himself is the light. So, not sure. But in the darkness of my life, I walk by the light of Jesus himself. He said that and then added, our friend Lazarus is resting. I am going to wake him. The disciples said to him, Lord, if he is able to rest, he is sure to be getting better. He is sure to get better. Then Jesus, the phrase Jesus used referred to the death of Lazarus, but they thought that by rest he meant sleep. So Jesus put it plainly, Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, because now you will believe. Believe what? Believe in Jesus himself, that he is the Christ, that he is God. But let us go to him. Then Thomas, known as the twin, said to the other disciples, let us go too and die with him. You got to give it over to Thomas here for a change, doubting Thomas. The Jews want to kill him. Now Jesus is a Jew. So it's, black on black, Jew on Jew, murder. But Thomas said, let us go with him, to die with him. Now, later on, when the real push comes to shove, and Jesus is about to die, they run away. Interesting. On arriving, Jesus found that Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days already. So 4 days means he stinketh, the body stinketh. They had this belief that the body started to decay and was fully dead on the 3rd day. So that's why he's 4 days dead. He really, really, really stinketh. On arriving, Jesus found that Lazarus had been in the tomb for 4 days already. Bethany is only about 2 miles from Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is where the cross will be in a short time after all of this. And many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to sympathize with them over their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus had come, she went to meet him. Mary remained sitting in the house. It's almost like she sat in the adoration chapel. Whatever. Martha said to Jesus, a little reprimand, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, whatever you ask of God, he will grant you. Your brother, said Jesus to her, will rise again. Martha said, I know he will rise again at the resurrection on the last day. Now, I'm sure you have parents, most of you, like I do, who have died. And so the little message here, the resurrection of their bodies on the last day, even it was understood by Martha back then. So Jesus then says, I am the resurrection. If anyone believes in me, even though he dies, he will live. If this earthly tent in which I'm living at this moment were to die at this moment, even though I die, he will live. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die. So I believe in Jesus, and I will never die, in the sense that me, the person, will never die. Remember Dismas on the cross again? Jesus said to him, today you'll be with me in paradise. But his body died. But Dismas did not die. My mother did not die. Her body did. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she said. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who was to come into this world. When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in a low voice, the Master is here and wants to see you. Hearing this, Mary got up quickly and went to him. Jesus had not yet come into the village. He was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who were in the house, sympathizing with Mary, saw her get up so quickly and go out, they followed her, thinking that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Mary went to Jesus, and as soon as she saw him, she threw herself at his feet, saying, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. At the sight of her tears and those of the Jews who followed her, Jesus said in great distress, with a sigh that came straight from the heart, "Where have you put him?" They said, "Lord, come and see." Jesus wept. And we have Jesus later on will weep over Jerusalem. Now he weeps over one man, Lazarus. And the Jews said, "See how much he loved him." But there were some who remarked, "He opened the eyes of the blind man. Could he not have prevented this man's death?" Still sighing, Jesus reached the tomb. God did not make death. So he sighs over it when it happens. Jesus reached the tomb. It was a cave with a stone to close the opening. Preview of what will happen to him within a few days. There'll be a stone over his tomb. Jesus said, "Take the stone away." Martha said to him, "Lord, by now he will smell." This is the fourth day. They believed that when they reached the fourth day, the body was decomposing, but not for the 3 days previously. Bit of a mystery to me. This is the fourth day. The Old English was lovely. It says, "Lord," she said to him, "He stinketh." The body stinketh. Jesus replied, "Have I not told you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing my prayer. I knew indeed that you always hear me, but I speak for the sake of all those who stand around me, so that they may believe it was you who sent me." Now, hear what Jesus is saying here when he starts to pray. I know that you always hear me. Always hear me. Well, he's the Son. But I'm going to be so bold as to say this to you. I know that he always hears you when you pray. Always hears you. And you might be praying in a very distracted manner, but he always hears us. But for the sake of those who stand round me, so that they may believe it was you who sent me. When he had said this, he cried in a loud voice, "Lazarus, here, come out." The dead man came out, his feet and hands bound with bands of stuff, and a cloth round his face. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go free." And again, if you segue back 1800 years earlier to Abraham, who was about to slaughter his son Isaac on the altar, God spared Abraham's son, but he didn't spare his own son. And he said to Abraham, "Untie him, Isaac, and let him go free." And what's Jesus saying here? Unbind him, let him go free. It's all been hidden away from us, for us, in the Old Testament before any of this happened. So the result of his miracle here, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what he did believed in him. Many of the Jews. But some of them went to tell the Pharisees what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and Pharisees called a meeting. "Here is this man working all these signs," they said, "and what action are we taking? If you let him go on this way, everybody will believe in him. And the Romans will come and destroy the holy place. They will destroy the temple. They will destroy our nation." One of them, Caiaphas, the high priest that year, said, "You don't seem to have grasped the situation at all. You fail to see that it is better for one man to die for the people than for the whole nation to be destroyed." He did not speak in his own person. It was as high priest that he made this prophecy that Jesus was to die for the nation. Now, did he know what he was saying? the high priest. I know he said it, but did he know what he was saying? Did he believe what he was saying? It's better for one man to die for the sake of the people. But Jesus did die on the cross for the sake of all mankind. That day they were determined to kill him. So Jesus no longer went about openly among the Jews. He left the district for a town called Ephraim, in the country bordering on the desert, and stayed there with his disciples, because the hour had not yet come. Now I gather within a week or so, the hour will come, and Jesus will be led like a lamb to the slaughter. Like a sheep before his shearers, he will be silent. And dying, he destroyed our death. And rising, he restored our lives. And we wait for him to come again in glory soon. So, like Lazarus, we are to live forever. And if you remember the other one, the widow's son at Nain, Jesus touched the bier, and that part for us has to wait until the resurrection and the last day, the body. But I expect and I'm hoping to be in heaven with Jesus as of the second that I might die. Amen.